Mira lived on the edge of the desert station, far from the noise of the central dome. Nights were usually quiet, only filled with the soft hum of wind against metal walls. But this night was different. She woke suddenly, heart thumping, when she heard something move outside. Light, quick, and frightened. At first, she thought it was just a desert animal digging near the water tank. But then she heard a small cry, thin and shaky, like something hurt. Mira sat up, brushing dust from her clothes, and listened again. Another cry followed, this time closer to her front door. She grabbed her lamp, the war father left before he went off-world, and stepped outside. The desert air was cold, and the stars were sharp in the sky. Her small home looked even smaller in that quiet darkness. Then she saw the movement near the barn. Something small stumbled from behind a sand dune. Mira narrowed her eyes. It wasn't human, and it wasn't any animal she knew. The creature was glowing faintly. Her breath caught when a second glowing shape followed the first. They were tiny dragons. Not full-grown, not even close. Their bodies were the size of large cats. Their scales were dusty, scratched, and dim. One dragged a wing, and the other walked with a limp. Their little breaths came out in soft puffs of heat. Mira froze. Dragons were almost never seen on human worlds. They lived in distant star systems ruled by their powerful empire. Most humans only saw them on screens or in old news reports. To see one in the desert, too, and injured, felt impossible. The smaller dragon lifted its head and stared at her. Its eyes were big and bright gold, full of fear but also hope. The larger one growled softly, trying to protect its sibling even though it looked ready to collapse. Mira knelt slowly, keeping her hands open. "It's okay," she whispered. "I won't hurt you." The smaller one stepped closer, trembling. It tried to speak, but only a weak squeak came out. When it stumbled again, Mira moved without thinking. She rushed forward and caught it before it hit the ground. Its scales were warm under her hands, almost like smooth stone heated by the sun. The larger dragon cried out in alarm, but it didn't attack. It only limped forward and bumped its head against her knee, as if begging her not to take its sibling too far away. Mira understood then. They had no one else. She carried the smaller dragon inside her barn and set it on an old blanket. It curled up weakly. The larger one followed but paused at the doorway, sniffing the air, making sure the place was safe. Mira brought water in a bowl and placed it before them. They drank so fast she had to refill it twice. Then she grabbed her basic medical kit. Her hand shook a little. She had never treated dragons before, only goats, neighbors, and herself when equipment broke. But she tried anyway. She cleaned the cut on the smaller dragon's side and wrapped it with soft cloth. The creature winced but did not pull away. The larger one watched Mira the whole time, eyes sharp but trusting her more with every gentle touch. After a while, the smaller dragon lifted its head and whispered a sound. It wasn't a word, but Mira felt it was meant as thanks. "What happened to you two?" she asked softly. The larger dragon let out a long, sad rumble and looked toward the sky, where the stars shimmered silently. Then it pointed with its nose to a small metal disc hanging from a cord around the smaller one's neck. Mira picked it up gently and held it to the lamp. She didn't understand the symbols engraved on it, but she knew one thing clearly. This was important. Too important for hatchlings to carry unless something terrible had happened. Maybe a crash, maybe an attack, maybe something worse. The dragons curled together on the blanket, tired from fear and pain. The larger one kept one wing draped protectively over the smaller. Mira pulled another blanket over both of them, keeping them warm. The barn felt strangely peaceful now, even though her heart still raced. She stepped outside and looked around her quiet land. Nothing seemed unusual. No ships, no lights, no footsteps in the sand other than the dragons. But Mira felt a deep worry growing inside her. Someone would come looking for these creatures. Someone powerful. She returned to the barn and sat next to them, keeping watch. The smaller dragon pressed its head lightly against her leg, and the larger one breathed more calmly now that she was close. "Don't worry," Mira whispered. "I'll keep you safe, at least until morning." The lamp flickered and cast soft golden light over the two dragons. Their scales shone faintly again, as if the fear was slowly fading. Mira watched them quietly, wondering how far they had traveled, what danger chased them, and why fate brought them to her small home. The night grew colder. The hatchling slept. Mira stayed awake, knowing this peaceful moment would not last. Something big had begun the moment they stepped into her life. She just didn't know how big it truly was. The next morning, Aiden woke up early. His mind replayed everything that happened last night. The glowing egg, the strange voice, and the two shadowy men searching for it. For a moment, he wondered if it was just a dream. But then he looked at the wooden box under his bed. It was still there. His heart beat faster as he slowly opened it. The egg glowed softly, like warm moonlight trapped inside a shell. Aiden touched it again. The same gentle warmth spread through his fingers. It felt alive. He pulled his hand back, unsure what to do next. He kept thinking about the voice that spoke to him before, soft, calm, almost like a whisper inside his mind. It had called him the chosen guard. He did not know what that meant, but he knew one thing for sure. This egg was not normal. It was something important, maybe even dangerous. He quickly closed the box and hid it again. Today was just a normal workday for him. The village repair shop needed him early, and he could not afford to be late. But even while fixing carts, sharpening tools, and repairing broken lamps, his mind stayed on the egg. Every sound outside made him jump, wondering if the strangers had returned. At midday, Aiden decided to visit Mira, the only person he trusted completely. Mira was smart, brave, and always curious about the world. If anyone could help him understand what was happening, it was her. Mira lived near the forest's edge. When Aiden reached her small wooden house, she was sorting herbs outside. She looked up and frowned when she saw his worried face. "What happened to you? You look like you saw a ghost," she said. Aiden swallowed. "Mira, I need to show you something, but you must promise not to tell anyone." She raised an eyebrow. "You know I won't tell." He took a deep breath and opened the wooden box. The egg glowed brighter in the daylight, its colors shifting from blue to silver. Mira gasped softly. What is that?" "I don't know," Aiden whispered. "I found it last night. Or maybe it found me." Mira slowly reached out, but stopped herself. "It feels powerful just by looking at it. Where did it come from?" Aiden told her everything. The strange light in the trees, the moment the egg appeared, the voice that spoke to him, and the two men who came searching for it. Mira listened carefully, her eyes filling with worry. "Aiden," she said slowly, "this is no ordinary egg. I've read stories about glowing eggs in old books, but none of them were safe." "What do you think it is?" he asked. She hesitated. "The stories say dragon eggs glow when they sense danger, or when they find someone they trust." Aiden blinked. "A dragon? It's only a story," she added quickly. "Maybe it's not real. Maybe I'm wrong." But Aiden could not shake the feeling that she was right. Ever since he touched the egg last night, something in him felt change, like a tiny spark had awakened inside him. "What do I do now?" he asked quietly. Mira looked around nervously. "First, you need to hide this better. If those men are still looking for it, they will search everywhere. And if this egg is what I think it is, they won't stop until they find it." Aiden nodded. "I can hide it in the workshop basement. No one goes down there." Mira touched his arm gently. "Aiden, you need to be careful. Those men weren't just curious. They were hunting. And whatever this egg is holding, they want it badly." Aiden felt a cold shiver. He picked up the box, and Mira walked with him back to the village. Along the way, they noticed something strange. Birds flew low over the trees, circling nervously. The forest seemed quieter than usual. Aiden had the uneasy feeling that the world already knew something was about to happen. At the workshop, Aiden hid the egg in a small locked room under the floor. He placed blankets and tools on top to make sure it looked untouched. Still, his heart would not calm down. Mira stayed with him for a while, sitting quietly beside him. "Aiden," she said, "if this egg hatches, what will you do?" He stared at her. He had not thought that far ahead. The idea of a baby dragon, real or not, made him both scared and amazed. "I don't know," he said honestly. I don't even know why it came to me. Maybe you don't have to know yet, Mira said softly. Maybe it chose you for a reason you'll learn later. Before Aiden could answer, a loud noise sounded outside. Hooves, boots, voices. Someone was shouting orders. Aiden and Mira looked at each other in alarm. They ran to the window. At least 5 men were walking through the village, dressed in dark coats. 2 of them were the same strangers from last night. This time they were not hiding. They had the royal crest on their shoulders. Myra's eyes widened. Royal hunters. Aiden, they worked for the king. Aiden felt his stomach twist. Why would the king send hunters for an egg? One of the men knocked loudly on a neighbor's door. We are searching for a stolen item, he announced. A rare object. Someone in this area has taken it. Aiden pulled Mira away from the window. They know, he whispered. They know it's here. Mira grabbed his hands tightly. Then we need to be smarter than them. Aiden looked around the workshop. Hammers, ropes, tools, wheels, and metal parts lay everywhere. None of them could stop trained hunters. But maybe they did not need to fight. Maybe they just needed to run. Aiden picked up the wooden box again and pushed it into Myra's hands. Take it. Go through the back road. Hide in the forest. I'll distract them. Mira shook her head. No, I'm not leaving you. You must, Aiden said firmly. If they catch me, fine. But they cannot catch the egg. Mira hesitated for a long moment. Then she nodded. Outside, the hunters spread to the village, closing in slowly. Aiden took a deep breath. The secret was no longer safe. And now, the Real chase was beginning. Aiden ran out of the workshop just as the hunters reached the village square. He tried to act normal, even though his heart was beating too fast. He kept his hands steady and forced himself to breathe slowly. The hunters looked around sharply, checking every door, every window, every face. One of them pointed at him. You there? Come here. Aiden froze for a moment, then walked toward them. He prayed Mira had already slipped away with the box. What are you doing out here? The tall hunter asked. His voice was cold and heavy. I work at the repair shop, Aiden said. I was fixing a cart and stepped out to get wood. The hunter narrowed his eyes. Have you seen anything strange in the village? Any suspicious people? Any strange objects? Aiden shook his head. No, sir. The tall hunter stared at him for several long seconds. Aiden felt sweat forming on his forehead, but tried to stay calm. Finally, the hunter stepped back. Very well. If you see anything unusual, report to us immediately. Yes, sir, Aiden said, bowing his head. As soon as they turned away, he slipped between the houses and hurried toward the forest path. He needed to find Mira fast. He hoped she had not run into any of the hunters. Meanwhile, Mira ran quietly through the trees, holding the box close to her chest. She moved carefully, staying away from the village trails. Her mind was racing. The hunters coming with the royal crest meant the king himself was involved. Why did the king want the egg so badly? She reached a small clearing and stopped to catch her breath. She gently opened the box and checked the egg again. It was glowing more than before, shining like a tiny silver star. She felt warmth on her face the moment she looked at it. It's okay, she whispered. We'll keep you safe. But just as she closed the box, she heard branches snapping behind her. She spun around, fear gripping her chest, but relaxed when she saw Aiden running toward her. You're safe, he said, breathing hard. Did anyone see you? No, she said, but the hunters are getting closer. We can't stay here. Aiden nodded. We need to go deeper into the forest. There's an old watchtower ruins about an hour away. No one visits it anymore. Mira agreed, and they began walking quickly, trying not to leave obvious footprints. The forest grew darker and thicker. Strange sounds echoed around them, rustling leaves, distant bird calls, and the soft whisper of wind through the branches. But soon, Aiden noticed something strange. The deeper they went, the quieter the forest became. Even the birds stopped singing. We're being watched, Aiden whispered. Mira looked around nervously. By who? Hunters. No, he said slowly. Something else. Before she could reply, a soft glow appeared in front of them. Aiden raised his hand. shielding his eyes. Mira clutched the box tighter. The glow grew brighter until the shape of a tall woman appeared. She wore a long white cloak, and her eyes shone like liquid silver. Her presence felt calm but powerful, almost like the moon had taken human form. Aiden and Mira froze. "Do not fear," the woman said in a voice that seemed to echo from the trees themselves. "I have been searching for the one who carries the egg." Mira took a small step back. Aiden stood protectively in front of her. "Who are you?" Aiden asked. The woman lowered her hood. Her hair was silver white, flowing like smoke. On her forehead was a glowing crest shaped like wings. "I am Lysara," she said, "keeper of the Imperial line." Aiden frowned. "Imperial? As in the Empire?" Lysara nodded. "Yes, and the egg you protect is not ordinary. It is the last heir of the Emperor." Myra's mouth fell open. "Heir? You mean there's a dragon inside?" Lysara looked at her calmly. "Not just a dragon. A royal dragon. All royal dragons serve the Emperor. They are born only during times of great need. But the Emperor's enemies try to destroy this one before it could hatch." Aiden's eyes widened. "So, the hunters, are they trying to return to the Emperor?" Lysara shook her head slowly. "No, they do not serve the Emperor anymore. They serve the man who stole his throne." A cold wind passed through the trees as her words sank in. "The true Emperor disappeared 6 years ago," she continued. "His royal dragons vanished with him. But one egg survived. This egg, it was hidden far from the capital under my watch. But last month, the false king discovered its existence. He sent hunters to steal it." Aiden exchanged a shocked look with Mira. "If the egg hatches," Lysara said softly, "the true heir will rise. The false king will lose the throne. That is why he wants it destroyed before it hatches." Aiden felt the weight of her words. Mira held the box closer, as if shielding it from the world. "So, why did the egg come to me?" Aiden asked. Lysara stepped closer. "Because the egg chooses its guardian. It senses courage, kindness, and loyalty. It chose you, Aiden." Aiden's chest tightened. He had always thought he was just a simple repair boy. But now he was involved in something far bigger than he ever imagined. Lysara looked at both of them. "The egg will hatch soon. When it does, the hunters will be drawn to its power. You must protect it at all costs." "We will," Mira said firmly. Aiden nodded, though fear twisted in his stomach. He felt unprepared for all of this. Lysara raised her hand, and a small silver stone appeared, floating above her palm. "Take this. It will guide you to the hidden temple where the Emperor's allies wait. But be warned, the hunters are already on your trail." She placed a stone in Aiden's hand. It glowed warmly like the egg. Before they could ask more, Lysara began to fade into light. "Protect the heir," she whispered. "The future of the Empire depends on it." Then she vanished. Aiden and Mira stood in silence, their hearts pounding. The forest seemed darker now, heavier. Aiden looked at the glowing stone. Mira held the glowing egg. And somewhere behind them, the hunters were closing in. Their only choice was clear. They had to run. And they had to protect the Emperor's missing heir no matter the cost. Aiden and Mira walked through the forest all night, following the soft glow of the silver stone. Their legs were tired and their eyes felt heavy, but they kept moving. The egg was growing warmer and brighter with every hour. Sometimes it pulsed like a heartbeat, and every time it did, Mira felt a strange mix of fear and hope. By the time the sky began turning pale orange, they finally reached the edge of the trees. Just ahead was Myra's small home, a wooden cabin she used when she collected herbs or made medicine for the village. It stood alone on a hill with a clear view of the rising sun. "We can rest here," Mira whispered, "only for a short time." Aiden nodded and followed her inside. The small house smelled like dried leaves and flowers. Mira placed the egg gently on a blanket near the fire, and Aiden checked the windows. "The hunters are close," Aiden said softly. "I can feel it." Mira looked at him, worry in her eyes. "Do you think Lysara's stone is still guiding them too?" "Maybe," Aiden said. "But even without it, they can probably sense the egg's power." The egg pulsed again, brighter than ever. Mira touched it lightly. It felt warm, too warm. She pulled her hand away quickly. Aiden, I think it's going to hatch soon. He stepped closer and looked at it. The silver shell had thin glowing lines running across it now, like cracks made of light. We don't have much time, Aiden said. We need to leave before they reach us. Before Mira could answer, Aiden suddenly froze. He heard something outside, a faint crunch, then another, then many. He rushed to the window and looked out. His breath stopped in his chest. Mira, he said in a low voice, come here. She joined him and gasped. Dozens of armored soldiers were moving through the trees, forming a circle around the house. Their armor carried the symbol of the false king, a black blazing sun. Some carried spears, others crossbows, and one rider sat on a dark horse, watching the cabin closely. They found us, Mira whispered. A horn sounded, echoing across the land. The soldiers tightened the circle. Aiden grabbed her wrist. We have to run out the back. Maybe we can break through before they close in. Mira quickly picked up the egg, holding it close. Aiden grabbed a small pack and the silver stone. They rushed to the back door, but as soon as Aiden pushed it open, 2 soldiers stepped in front of them, blocking the path. Stop, one of them shouted. Put the egg down and surrender. Aiden slammed the door shut and locked it. We're trapped, Mira said. Aiden scanned the room, thinking fast. We need another way out. He looked at the small window near the roof. It was tiny, but maybe they could fit through. Before he could speak, a loud voice echoed outside. Aiden, Mira, you cannot escape. The rider on the black horse stepped forward. His armor was sharper, darker, and heavier than the others. His face was covered by a mask shaped like a wolf. Even from inside the house, his presence felt dangerous. I know the egg is inside, the masked man said. Open the door and hand it over. No one has to get hurt. Mira glared at the door. He's lying. Aiden knew she was right. If the man served the false king, he would destroy the egg the moment he held it. Aiden turned toward the small roof window. We go up, he said. It's our only chance. He dragged a small table under the window. Mira climbed up first. She pushed the window open and pulled herself onto the roof. Aiden passed the egg to her carefully, then climbed after her. Cold morning air blew across the roof. Mira crouched low and held the egg close. Soldiers were moving below them, shouting orders. They're surrounding the house. Mira said, There's no gap. Aiden looked around desperately. The forest was too far. The hill was too steep, and soldiers blocked every direction. They were trapped on all sides. We can't outrun them, Aiden said quietly, but we have to protect the egg. The egg pulsed again, stronger, brighter. Mira gasped as the light grew more intense, shining through her fingers. Aiden, the egg. Cracks of silver light shot across its surface. It's hatching now, Mira whispered. The soldiers below suddenly stiffened and looked up, their masks reflecting the silver glow. The masked leader pointed at the roof. Get them. Now! Arrows began flying toward them. Aiden pushed Mira down and shielded her with his body. The arrows hit the roof with sharp thuds. The egg pulsed one more time, so bright that Aiden had to shut his eyes. A loud crack echoed through the air. The shell began to break. But before it could open fully, a deep roar rolled across the land. A shockwave of light blasted outward, throwing the nearest soldiers off their feet. Aiden and Mira clung to the roof as the world shook. The glow from the egg grew into a beam of light, shooting into the sky. The soldiers panicked. What is happening? Hold your positions. Stop them. But no one could move closer. The light was too strong, the roar too powerful. It felt like a storm made of fire and wind. Aiden looked at the egg. The cracks were spreading quickly. It's happening, he whispered. The masked leader shouted angrily, trying to push forward. Destroy it before it hatches. More soldiers charged toward the cabin. Mira held the egg tightly. Please, hatch, we need you. The light trembled. The sky brightened. And the egg gave one final, brilliant pulse, right as the first soldier reached the roof. But it was too late. The air was beginning to emerge, and the hunters were about to meet something they could never defeat. The silver egg glowed so bright that Mira and Aiden could barely see. The roof shook under them as the light spread across the hill like a wave. The soldiers who rushed forward stopped, shielding their eyes, shouting in fear. Then the light broke apart like falling stars, and silence followed for a short moment. In Myra's arms, the egg split open. A small dragon, no bigger than a large cat, slowly lifted its head. Its scales were soft and silver blue, and its eyes glowed like tiny moons. Smoke curled from its nose as it took its first breath. Mira stared at it with wide, shaking eyes. You're alive. The newborn dragon blinked and looked at her. It didn't roar. It didn't cry. It simply placed its small head against her chest, as if it already knew her. Aiden watched in awe. He chose you. But the peace did not last. The masked commander shouted from below, "Take the hatchling. Don't let them escape." Soldiers rushed toward the hill again. Crossbows rose. Swords flashed. Aiden stood and pulled Mira behind him, even though he knew he could not stop an army alone. But he also knew one thing clearly. They would not take the dragon. Not while he breathed. The baby dragon sensed danger. It let out a small chirp, and the silver stone in Aiden's pocket glowed in answer. A soft ring of light surrounded the dragon, Mira, and Aiden. Some soldiers hesitated. Others stepped back in fear. The masked commander did not. He lifted his spear and pointed it at Mira. "Kill the girl. The hatchling will be helpless without her." Aiden's heart dropped. Mira held the baby dragon close, but she did not hide. She looked straight at the commander. Her legs trembled, but she stood tall on the slanted roof. "I am not afraid of you," she said. Her voice was soft, but it was steady. The commander snarled and leaped forward. Aiden jumped to block him, but before he could reach them, a roar tore through the sky. Not a small roar, not a baby's roar. A full, powerful dragon roar that made the ground shake and the trees bend. Everyone, soldiers, Aiden, Mira, froze and looked up. A shadow swept over the hill. A great dragon, with wings as wide as a house, dropped from the sky and landed behind the soldiers. Its scales shone gold and white, and its eyes burned bright. A second dragon landed beside it, red as fire. A third followed, a large black one with silver horns. 3 royal dragons, the emperor's dragons. The soldiers panicked. "It's the guardians." "Fall back. We weren't told they would come." The masked commander stepped back, but he tightened his grip on his spear. "Impossible," he whispered. They were searching in the north. "How?" Another roar answered him. This one came from the forest. Lysara, the injured royal dragon, burst from the trees and landed with a heavy thud beside Mira and Aiden. Her wounds were healed. Her eyes were fierce. She lowered her head toward the baby dragon in Myra's arms. The hatchling chirped and stretched out its tiny wings. Lysara roared again, and the other 3 dragons roared back. The sound was like thunder breaking the sky. Soldiers dropped their weapons. Some fell to their knees. Others ran. The masked commander stayed frozen, unable to move. His victory, his plan, everything he had done, all that was breaking. "Impossible," he whispered again. "The egg should not have hatched. It should." Aiden stepped toward him. "You chased a girl who protected a child," Aiden said. "That's your mistake." The commander raised his spear, but his hand shook. Mira stepped forward too, holding the baby dragon. She was scared. Aiden could see in her eyes, but she did not step back. She did not run. She did not hide. "You wanted to destroy him," she said. "But I won't let you." The commander pointed his spear at her. "Stand aside." The baby dragon suddenly growled. A soft glow formed around its body. Its wings spread and its silver eyes narrowed. Even newborn, it had royal blood, and every dragon around it responded with a deep rumble. The commander realized then what everyone else already knew. He had lost. One of the royal dragons moved behind him, placing a single massive claw on the ground. The commander froze completely. Aiden pulled Mira back to the center of the roof as the dragons closed in. The soldiers were already fleeing down the hill, leaving their armor behind. Only the commander remained. and he fell to his knees, the spear slipping from his hand. Mira held the baby dragon close. The newborn nuzzled her cheek, then looked toward the sky as if calling someone. A few seconds later, another dragon landed on the hill. This one was different, older, stronger, wearing a crown-like crest on his head, the Emperor's dragon form. He looked at the baby in Myra's arms. Then he bowed his massive head. Aiden could hardly believe it. Mira stared in shock. Dragons did not bow to humans. Never. The Emperor spoke, his voice deep and shaking the air. "The air has chosen you," he said, "and so will we." Mira swallowed. I only wanted to keep him safe." "And you did," the Emperor answered. "When others ran in fear, you stayed. When others attacked, you protected. Young human, you defied fear." Aiden placed a hand on Myra's shoulder. The Emperor lifted the baby dragon gently with his claws, but the little one reached out for Mira again, refusing to leave her. The Emperor nodded. "Then you will stay with him. You are part of his destiny now." Mira looked down at the small dragon in her arms. For the first time since she found the two children the night, she smiled without fear. Aiden smiled too. The long chase was over. The danger had passed. And a new future was beginning. A human girl, 2 little dragons, 1 newborn heir, and an empire chained forever because a girl chose courage instead of fear.